Baik, isu perumahan mampu milik menjadi salah satu tumpuan utama menjelang bajet 2016 yang dibentang 23 Oktober lalu. Di tengah kenaikan kos sara hidup serta keadaan ekonomi yang mencabar, kini kerajaan diseru untuk melihat kepada memudahkan pemilikan rumah. Baik, untuk berbincang lebih lanjut, kita bersama Ketua Pegawai Eksekutif Kumpulan United Malayan Land Berhad atau lebih dikenali sebagai UMLand, Datuk Charlie Chia Lui Meng, dan izin saya bertutur dalam bahasa Inggeris. Datuk, thank you for joining us in the Business Awani studio. So Datuk, first of all, post Bajet 2016, how do the announcements made affect the property, the housing sector, and what does this mean for the average home buyer and homeowner?
We are very happy that the budget is actually a people economy budget, and the government has actually taken a lot of effort to develop a lot of affordable homes, and this has taken actually a very big load off from our developers in the private sector. But nevertheless, I think as private developers, we are also trying to support the government by creating affordable homes in the sense that the pricing are going to be very competitive, and this competitiveness is going to be achieved through a lot of innovative designs, industrialized building systems, so that it brings down the cost and making most of the housing, especially the landed housing, to be below at least 500,000, and that will actually gives a chance to a lot of rakyat jelata to actually own a home which they can afford.
When we talk about first-time home buyers, first-time homeowners, how has the tightening of lending rules affect consumer sentiments and eventually affect the property sector?
Well, the budget before the budget, we actually hope that the government could look into the issues of the DIBS, the loan to value, and also the RPGT, whether they could actually reduce it to remove some of the cooling measures. But since it doesn't, then we have to be a little bit more innovative and while trying to prepare more affordable products, in the sense that these are some of the pricing that we have to reduce in order to attract more buyers.
Two main things announced in the recent budget is GST, the two main focuses at least, GST and the rise of the minimum wage. These two things, how do they affect the property sector, and will it once again trickle down to consumers because of the increased costs for developers?
Yeah, we are aware that some of the GSTs in the commercial sectors is always passed because they are actually taxed there. But for residential properties, GST is not imposed, is exempted. For that matter, then we will actually got to sort of try to be a little bit more innovative in a better design, more functional design, to reduce the cost and to also absorb the majority of the GST into our pricing. So it's a question of price sensitive now, because the market is actually at this stage where people go for cheaper housing.
You mentioned innovative, Dato'. Define innovative, and how does UMLand strive for that innovation?
Well, in the past, most of the designs are actually a little bit over-provided, in the sense that the bathrooms are a little bit oversized, and also to the extent we provide more rooms than necessary. Now, I think if we were to make it more functional and more economical, then some of these spaces will actually be made smaller, and thus reducing the cost and reducing the price. Then it becomes more affordable. So these innovations will actually come into place to help the public to actually own more affordable homes.
Talking about sizes, what do you think is the trend for property sizes moving forward in the future?
Well, you are talking about the double-story terrace house, which more or less is about 2,000 square feet in most cases. Well, we are moving into area where we provide the same lot size, but the built-up area will be about 1,500 to 1,600. So that eventually will allow the purchasers or the new owners to think about expansion later on if they really need those extra space. But for a startup home, this should be sufficient enough. And therefore, if the price is of a lower range, then at least they can afford for the time being and expand and upgrade later.
How about location-wise, in terms of property development, the trend moving forward?
Okay, in the sense, most of the developments near the cities will definitely be more expensive due to the land prices. So if we are looking for more affordable homes, then we have to move a little bit out of the city limits. That means we are moving at the moment now into areas like Semenyih for the Klang Valley, or even as close as to Seremban, where land prices are cheaper and then you can actually have cheaper housing now.
But the migration of people to rural, not to say rural areas, but city outskirts, suburban areas will also push up demand and then eventually push up prices as well. So what's your strategy in coping with this?
We hope that by the ability of the government to provide more infrastructure, then the public actually can move further and further away and still be able to come to work on time. And in this case, when you are actually further away from city limits, then at least some of the pricing can be taken into consideration. Then it will be cheaper housing from then onwards.
When you talk about the high prices of homes in this country, one of the key factors is the supply not being flexible. So, you know, that will result in the high prices of homes. So how do you tackle this unflexibility of prices?
Well, the majority of the cost in housing is actually the land price. So it contributes a major factor and major cost. But if we can actually hold on to the land prices as we move outwards, then we also introduce a lot of industrialized building systems. And this will reduce the cost of labor, reduce the cost of materials, and therefore we are able to create more functional homes, cheaper in the sense of construction methods and pricing, and thus give a better pricing for our public.
What has Land done to encourage this?
Oh, we have actually redesigned quite a lot of our homes to make it more functional. And lately we have been launching a very, what you call, a good phase in Semenyih. And this is called Ebury Homes, where it's about 1,500 square feet, purely for starter families or starter homes. At the same time, we also provide the same amenities that they can enjoy in the environment. So while they can enjoy the same amenities, stay a little bit further, and the highways can actually provide them their direct connection, then they will actually have better homes.
Okay, finally, Dato', last question.
Yes.
We have about 1 minute. The government has done a lot to increase affordable housing. What have the property developers done?
Well, we actually have gone into a lot of new areas, and we are actually developing apartments where it is more functional, more in the what you call more able to cope with the demands of the general public, and then at the same time, location is very important in the sense that it must be close to the workplace.
Thank you, Dato'. Baik, itu tadi Ketua Pegawai Eksekutif Land Berhad Datuk Charlie Chia Lui Meng membincangkan isu perumahan mampu milik dan bajet 2016.